time for another FTP seal of approval. We'll do our first quarterback, Connor Cook, the 6'4", 220-pound Michigan State quarterback. Now, last season, a lot of people were hyping him up to have a huge year this year, be the possible first quarterback off the board. Now, he's had a bit of a rough season this year, a few ups and downs, and now people are starting to judge him, look at a little bit more tape, and aren't quite as high on him. So let's talk Connor Cook, why don't we? All right, so plain and simple, when you look at this guy, he doesn't have the elite arm of a Jay Cutler. He doesn't have the legs of a Marcus Mariota. He's not huge like a Cam Newton. But when you look at the game at the college level, there's only a handful of quarterbacks that you can say understand the game at the level that this guy does. When you watch him, you can see it in his play, you can see it in his reads, you can see it in the offense that they run, in the play calls that the offensive coordinator allows him to do in crucial situations. I mean, plain and simple, this guy is not coddled. He has full reign of the playbook and of that offense. So that brings me into the things that he really does well. He can read defenses, he can complete passes at all levels, and he understands when he needs to freelance just a little bit. Knowing when to hold on to the ball just a touch longer is the difference between an incompletion, an interception, or a touchdown. And he does all these things. These are things you see week in and week out when he plays with Michigan State. Now, let's go to some of the things that he needs to work on. And you'll see this guy continue to develop. He obviously needs to work on release points. That's one of the things that, I guess the pinnacle of the quarterback position right now would have to be Aaron Rodgers, and that's one of the things that he does so well. He has different release points, especially when he's moving around. He's so good. And these are some of the things that you can see this guy needs to work on. He does look a little bit uncomfortable delivering the ball when he's moved off his spot at times, but he's a pocket passer. He's not a guy that you want bootlegging and running and throwing the ball on the run a whole lot. If you protect him, he'll deliver a catchable pass for your receiver. Plain and simple. He's not a guy who can't move, a statue in the pocket like a Zach Mettenberger type, but he's not a guy that you really want moving a whole lot. Now, we've talked about strengths and we've talked about weaknesses. I normally like to give you a comp so you have some sort of a structure to look into of what to expect, at least kind of early on. And a guy that he kind of reminds me of, especially when he was kind of coming out of college, is Andy Dalton. Like I said, he doesn't have elite arm strength. He doesn't necessarily have all the elite physical tools. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad athlete by any stretch of the word, but he's not a towering presence like those other quarterbacks. He doesn't have elite arm strength, but he has an NFL arm, just like Andy Dalton. He has an NFL mind, just like Andy Dalton had. And Andy Dalton was a guy that was put into a perfect situation. He was implanted into a Cincinnati team that had a bunch of talent around him. He was able to starting and hit the field early on, and because of that talent around him, he's been able to flourish in that offense. Now, he hasn't got the job done in the playoffs yet, but he is a good quarterback in this league. And I think that's what Connor Cook could be. I think if Connor Cook gets put into the right situation, and I think that this somewhat quote-unquote down season could be a blessing in disguise for this guy's career. He's going to be pushed farther down, possibly a second-day pick. That would be perfect for him. He'll go into a situation with more talent around him where possibly he doesn't have to start right away. He has time to work on some of those weaknesses in his game. Or if he is inserted into a starting lineup early, he'll be on a team that has a lot more talent around him, which will give him an opportunity to showcase his strengths and really be successful. So long story short, I think that despite this down season, Connor Cook is a guy that in the right situation will flourish in the NFL, and he gets the FTP seal of approval from me.